The challenges of being a screenwriter.
I've had 2 movies made to date. The Grudge 1 in 2004, The Grudge 2 in 2006. I have a movie called Red, which is being shot right now, actually. That's 3 scripts. I've written 38 screenplays. The Grudge was my first film. It was my 25th screenplay.
Screenwriters write many screenplays, only to have a minimal amount of those screenplays produced. Most screenplays end up in a drawer, never to be heard from again. Creative differences.
And I just want to say for the record, for anyone who's seen Blood Rain, that I would say that about 20% of what I wrote is on the screen.
Interior, lack of artistic control, final product. The director enters the film shoot and decides to rearrange a scene that the writer thought was perfect. Writer storms off angrily and retreats to his/her bubble. Sometimes you can't control how the final film will look, but as a writer you have to write the best script you possibly can. The writer must create the best script possible regardless of their lack of artistic control on the final product of the film. Fade out. Writer's block. Writer's block, noun. A usually temporary condition in which a writer finds it impossible to proceed with the writing of a novel, play, or other work. Dictionary.com. The draft and compensation.
On Zorro, I rewrote probably 85% of the dialogue, and I didn't get screen credit on it. So just in pure monetary terms, not getting credit on that movie probably cost me $500,000.
Challenges of casting. Casting. Noun. The process of hiring actors to play the characters in a script, typically done by a casting director, but with some input from a director or producer or studio. Which brings me to the job of the casting director. Also known as CD, the casting director holds auditions and helps to select all of the speaking role members in a film, television, show, or play. The CD must possess a vast knowledge of the actor pool and be able to match a variety of actors with just the right role. Directors and producers rely on the casting director to assist them in assembling the perfect cast for their production. Which brings me to this interview I found in Playback Magazine, April 2009. Casting A Long Shadow by Cheryl Bining, about a CD by the name of Marsha Chelsea. Check it out. So, the first question was, what is the biggest issue in casting right now?
The economy. Almost everything is a scale project, so we don't have the money and budget to offer actors. I rely on personal relationships with agents. They have to trust me when I say this is a good script, a good part, you should look at it. So they don't dismiss it right away because it's scale.
Based on your experience, what are some challenges in casting?
Casting is one of those elusive things. When it is good, it isn't really noticed and all sorts of people take credit for it. And when it is bad, it seems to glare and everyone says that was a really bad casting director. The final decision, in many cases, isn't up to the casting director. It's a big group, including director, executive producers, distributors, or the network. A casting director can bring a lot of historical knowledge about an actor. Some don't audition well but can deliver. Others audition well, but that is the limit of what you get. I can bring that kind of historical knowledge. You want to feel your experience is respected. It often is, and it often isn't.
And there you have it.
Jobs such as directing, writing, and acting are all well defined in the entertainment industry. Producing, on the other hand, is a different story, and adding titles such as associate, executive, and supervising just make it even more confusing. Richard Zanuck once stated, "The producer is like the conductor of an orchestra. Maybe he can't play every instrument, but he knows what every instrument should sound like." For an active producer, there are many number of activities to be taken care of that include but are not limited to hiring the writer to write the original screenplay, selling the script to a studio, signing the major actors, doing the budget, hiring the crew, and making sure the sets get made on time. It is very clear that a single person cannot perform all these tasks. Likewise, different people prefer to do different tasks, but all perform some facet of a producer's overall responsibility, getting the motion picture developed, mounted, and sold. All of these things can be a producer's downfall. Ideally, a producer would find a ready-to-shoot script that could be taken directly to the studio, but this rarely occurs. In any case, the producer must obtain the rights of a material before they can proceed with making a film. Motion picture studios are the principal source today for obtaining the funds needed by a producer to produce and distribute their films. Unfortunately, for a new producer, finding backing by a motion picture studio is very difficult. Part of production management includes the script breakdown. This helps the producer to estimate the budget and time needed to shoot specific scenes of the film. The breakdown will tell the producer such things as when certain props are needed and when the actors need to be on set. After the breakdown is complete, breakdown sheets are filled out, which lists in more detail props, costume actors, and equipment needed for each scene. A producer will further be able to determine a shooting schedule in which the total number of days needed to shoot the project can be determined. The producer is also extremely helpful to the director in providing an objective point of view on the film as the process moves along. It should be considered helpful to the director for the producer to look at the dailies and be objective as to what they see. As the producer begins to take shape, the producer's objective point of view will help siphon out minor discrepancies that may plague the film when it comes to the editing phase. Once the film is completed, the amount of time that it takes for the post-production varies greatly, but a period of 28 to 32 weeks or even longer is common. Initially, the film editor, hired by the producer and director, usually with studio approval, will do most of the work in post-production, and the producer holds the role of mitigating between the director and editor. Throughout the whole process, the producer can have many downfalls, but the success of the producer can achieve separates an Oscar-winning movie from the rest.
As a production manager in the film industry, you make sure all the departments work well together and everything runs smoothly during production. A production manager creates schedules, makes sure all the bills are getting paid, and the budget is not exceeded. Additionally, he assists the producer with hiring crew and staff for all the departments. And he is very important for pre-production as he coordinates the first budget and checks back with every department on how much equipment they really need. Which brings me to one of the major challenges: money. Companies and producers want the best movie possible, but are constantly cutting the budget because people stop going to the theaters and rather see movies at home. So the production manager has to walk the fine line between low cost and bad quality. For example, the Writers' Guild strike in 2007-2008 must have been a nightmare for any manager. If you already hired a writer, you now have to constantly rearrange schedules in hope that he might hand something in that you can use, and that takes up money. If you don't have a writer for a TV show, for example, you have to cancel everything because you don't have the option to just hire different actors and staff for a later time. They run on a tight schedule because of their air dates, so everyone has to be paid constantly. In any case, missing an important part of your employees in any department slows down production, which again takes up money. Money the company either doesn't have or doesn't want to give you. Also, to rent different equipment or locations, the production manager needs to have good communication skills. Depending on where you go on location, people live in different cultures or by different rules. So what might seem okay to do or say in your own country could be a huge faux pas in someone else's. Therefore, the production manager must have a very broad knowledge of cultures. He has to overcome obstacles to get a better understanding of other countries and cultures. In this case, the internet is usually not a big help, because it only serves you with stereotypes. Learning by doing is probably the best way.